Good morning again. As I told you on the last video, I would be showing you how to dimension your elevations, and here we are. This is what a dimensioned elevation looks like. Of course, I see already there's a couple errors in here. But anyway, as you see, I've marked the elevation. I used a long dash, short dash line, and then I have the elevation symbol down here at the end. And I'm also going to show you how to turn that into a block so that you don't have to redraw that or anything like that in the future or on your other elevations. Okay, but anyhow, as you see my elevations, I have my floor level mark. This level 10 feet 0 inches. This is my top of wall. As you see, it is so rightly named, and that's at 9 feet. And then I've got top of roof 1, which is this roof right here. It's the peak of the lowest gable, or it could represent the lowest hip, but basically the lowest top portion of a roof. It's at 13 feet, and when I say that, I mean from the ground, 13 feet 7 7/8 inches. And then of course you see here I did not finish these two right here. I did not put the height on these two yet, but that is something I am going to do before I call this finished. And right here we have some notes, any kind of notes that you need to add, any annotation such as notes on the shingle work that should go on the roof. Here it says Atlantic Blue Shingles. Certainteed is the company, and Landmark is the line of shingling. And here I have some other notes such as a 1-foot eave, because you definitely want to address that as well, and let your builders know how far your eave should stick out from the house. And here's an 8-inch fascia board, kind of self-explanatory there. But that is what it's going to look like in the end. There's a couple of things you have to do at first when you first start. Is you have to set your your lines and things like that. Now, first thing I do is I have to load this line type in here and select this to be my line type for that layer, or I could even do it here instead of doing it over here. I can do it here when I create the layer. I can actually change the line type right here, and I can see that brought it up right over there. Okay, so I can change that line type right there. Right now it says continuous. That's because I didn't change it here earlier. But here I can go ahead and select that, click OK, and now it is set at that line type. Now when you're doing that, when you're setting those line types, you click on here. Usually there's only 1 or 2 that are already preloaded in this dialog box, the select line type dialog box by default, and you have to load them in like this. You just click the load button, and then you find the line that you want, and this particular line is the ISO long dash short dash, or AutoCAD ISO 8W100, and you can find all that right over here in the left column. I think that's it right there. So I would load that and assign that to my dimension, or my my dimension layer. Well, actually, I just made a mistake. I shouldn't do that either, because okay, it didn't change there, so that's good. It's best to actually just create a new layer off of that one. So we'll do new layer, VP frozen off points. Okay, let's just create this as dim EL for elevation, and that one we will actually, it's already at that line type because it just copied right over, and this one we're going to change back to its default solid line. Okay, so yes, for your elevation, since you're going to use a different line type, do create a new layer for that. I wasn't thinking there at first and just kind of went blindly into it, but however, I know that you're not going to do that. Anyway, to actually create your elevations, let's go ahead and select that layer. I will show you how to do that on this view here. This is my east view, and it's real simple. There's nothing to it at all. I'm just going to draw a line from here out to the side somewhere. I may not have know for sure exactly where it's going to be placed as of yet. And let's see. And that line type did not take, so let's change it over here. You might have to do that too. And it's still giving me fits there. And it could be, let's see, how's that scaled? This is another thing you can do. If you're having trouble seeing your dashes and dots, you can just click on the line and then right click on it and get your properties going. And we have, okay, that is the correct line. Okay, here it is right here, the scale. Okay, so I need to set the scale of that line to 0.05, really small. That way it shows that that's actually a little bit too, not small enough actually. So 0.005, there we go. And you'll have to play with that. There's no, depending on how you have other things set. That's one thing I don't like about AutoCAD. Either it's inconsistent or I just don't know it well enough. Probably a little both. But anyway, there's my long dash, short dash, long dash, short dash line. And now I want to do the rest. I want to do my wall height, and I'm going to pull up all the way to the end here. And I'm going to pull out here, making sure I'm even, that everything is lined up. And I'll go back there and adjust the scale of that line. And let's see, I also want to mark the peaks again. Like so. And then this one here, like so. All right. Change the properties of these lines. 0.005, and there we go. We got the line types we need. All right. So just kind of play around with that, see what you get to come out, but that's what you're looking for in the end. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to create the symbol that goes to the end of that line. And I do that by just creating a circle, and I just made a 1 foot circle. 1 foot, and I don't remember if that was, I think it, let's see, what does AutoCAD do? Radius or diameter? Okay, it's radius. So basically 1 foot radius, 2 foot diameter circle. And then of course I fill in the middle of it, just using some of my snap guides to make sure I get in the center. And go back to line tool. And then I go to my hatch, choose solid, and it's already set for the color that I want, so you'll want, whatever color is going to match up with your dimensioning. Okay, so now I have that circle. Now here's what I'm going to do in order to save that and be able to use it multiple times. As you see, if I go over here to the Insert tab, right up here on my tab section, and then in the block, or actually in the block definition panel, I'm going to pull this down to create block. All right, first thing I'm going to do is name it. So I might name this elevation symbol. And by default, mine is already set the way that I want it. But what you will do, yours probably won't be set, but just go ahead and click under the base point box. Just click specify on screen on the objects box, specify on screen, and also right here convert to block, and that means to take the one that you're currently copying and convert it to a block also. And then of course behavior depends really right now for this. You just want it to scale uniformly and allow exploding. Of course you really don't even have to allow exploding. But that right there will get us going. Then we click OK, and our instructions down at the bottom in the command bar says specify insertion base point, which typically for this would be right there in the center. And now it says to select objects right there. So now I'm going to do a crossing window and select it, and then I'm going to hit enter. And now this is a block. As you see, I can move it around like so. And I also, if I go to insert right here up in the block panel and scroll down with some of the other things that I have saved, and here are, this is the one I saved yesterday, and this is the one I just now saved. So all I have to do is click on that, and then I can bring it into my drawing and place it right where I need to go. Now, because you've already got one in the drawing, now you can just copy it. So I can just click on copy, and this way I can do multiple copies of it. So select the object, enter, select the base point, the center, and then just go up here and place it on each line. Okay. Then for the text, and you might have to play with your text a little bit to get your text set correctly. And again, I'll show you how I have mine set. And what I'm going to do here is, say I've got my text right here set for annotative. If I open my text box, you see that I have clicked on annotative and I have clicked on set current to make it current. I didn't change anything in this particular one, and if you're drawing at 1/4 scale and you select annotative for your text, then it will typically be the right size. Not saying that it will be, because sometimes AutoCAD does things that I cannot even predict. So anyway, text here, and then you just and of course that right there kind of gives you a preview too. When you click on the text button, it kind of gives you a preview of what your text is going to look like that follows your cursor there. And we will have to flip this around because of the side that we're drawing on. Alright, and we're just going to say level 1, or you could say floor level 1 is another term you can use. That really just depends on who you work for. And then click in an open space. Now I'm going to rotate it. Actually first, and so that I rotate it correctly, I'm going to go ahead and stretch it out so that I get everything on, I want everything on one line. I don't know why it's not going on one. Okay, I guess I must have hit the enter button there somewhere. There we go. Now I'm going to rotate, click, find my rotate button, and just specify a base point anywhere is fine. I could do something, let's see, let me just do it right there. Okay, now floor level 1. Now I'm going to move it around some and get it where I want it. Now I want this one to be a little bit high because I am going to put the dimension right below that. Okay, which I'll just do that by creating another box, making my dimension 0 foot space 0 inches, and then do the same thing to it. We need to rotate that. And then we can maneuver it around, making sure that it is even, that everything is left justified here. And you also want your spaces to be pretty consistent. Like here, I might want to lower all that just a little bit, because I know up here I'm going to have to lower it a lot. And of course, as you saw here, they get kind of close. If they get really close, then of course there's other things you could do to that. Oops, wrong way. Right here. Alright, so there's other things you can do if they get too close, such as putting your text out here, or taking some of these lines and breaking them at a 45-degree angle. Like right here, I can break this line at a 45-degree angle and then straighten it out right here. That will give me plenty of room for the text, and I would end up doing that to a few of these as well. And that's really as simple as, you know, doing something like this, just finding a spot. Now, if you do break these lines, you need to make it a justified break. You don't want to have different breaks all over the place. But I would do something like that. change the property of these lines to 0.05. Now I got my long dash, short dash. Move my little marker right there. Move this one back. And of course, move my text. And of course, I might want to consider doing something a little different with my text as well. Make sure you left justify it. There we go. So it'll be something like that. And then I would have these lines broken as well along the same space, vertically aligned with the same 45-degree angle and length. So that is how you do your elevation dimensioning. And then of course you see here I've got some notes. You have to play with that as well. You have to set your text just like you did here, but you're going to do it on a leader. So you've got an annotation, click on your leader, and I just have one that says copy of standard is how I did mine. And then what I did here was text height was 8 inches. I don't know exactly how that was reading. I just had to play with it and get a good size text. Started with 4 inches, but that wasn't enough. Then I had to bring it on up from that. I'm not sure what that is, if AutoCAD has a scaling issue with regards to that, or again, I may just not understand exactly how to set that up. But I do my best. Okay, so anyway, there's your elevations, and of course you'll put some notes on here. I want you to put some notes. You could have tons of notes on your elevation views, notes with leaders telling you what kind of materials or any kind of special information about it. I want you to get practice using the annotations in the notes and stuff like that. So go ahead and put a few notes, kind of like what I did right here. Mark your shingles, your fascia board, and then your eave. And thank you very much.